Hello, hello everyone. I hope you are doing well. Some of you might wonder why about this look. Maybe this is the first time I show up in the channel with this current look. Some say that now I should be calling myself the monk entrepreneur, referring to, of course, a Buddhist monk. Now they say that I look more like a Buddhist monk. Anyway, it is very hot here and I am trying to keep myself clean as possible. So let's start with today's topic. Today, I would like to talk to you about the next recession and what we have now in hand, what's the events now in the world, and what is probably going to happen in 2023. But before we proceed, we I need you to tell me that the voice is working well and there is no problem at all with the voice. This is my only concern for now. I might be able to find out. Let me see. Yeah, it's working well, I think. Thank you guys for confirming. Okay, so today we have too many events in the world. Bad events, of course. Like there's nothing good that happened in the world, maybe in the last since the pandemic. But let's see what we have, and then I will show you also more analysis and some data from some newspaper and some respected analysis. So let's start with the first one. Are we going to have a recession for the economy in 2023? This is the most important questions for a lot of people. Let's start with this piece of article here. Yep, this one. And let's see what are we going to have in 2023. According to this article, it's published on the New York Times. As you see, there are high possibility that we are going to have a recession in 23. But let's read a little bit. I am more interested about this part of the article. Uh, like everyone, guys, the world economy is based on the U.S. economy. So when a recession happened in the U.S., it means basically the whole world will have trouble. So let's start with this here. It says that uh, when we have two consecutive quarters of recession, when we go down, that means that means that we are in a recession. So, two more confident predictions that a downturn is imminent. In general, forecasters who say a recession will be avoided emphasize that they might be too optimistic, while those who are confident that the economy will shrink are quick to say that recession won't be that bad. Recession won't be that bad because I mean, like we over the last decades, we had too many times when we had a recession. In 2008, of course, this is the most popular one. In 2018, I think we had one. So recession is not like a new thing that the world has to deal with. It's something that happens like every 10 years approximately. And of course, it is like economists know the impact of the recession every time it happens because it's not a new thing. And recession is not like the end of the world because it happened before. But this time might be different. Let's see what are the people say. We have some very respected economists who say that it's low probability that we are going to have a recession. Basically, Uh, Daniel Pachman, who runs the U.S. economic forecasting team at the consulting firm, puts the chance of a recession at above 15%. So it means that it's less likely that we are going to have a recession. And we have another one, Morgan Stanley. As you know, they put the recession at 30% in the next 12 months. So Morgan Stanley says, like the investment chief US economist by Ellen Zinter, that 30% probability that we are going to have a recession. And we have other guys who are saying that it's less probable that we are going to have a recession, but we have here JP Morgan who say that we have 35% that we will have a recession in the next 12 months, which is like kind of high, of course. We have even more higher percentages down the way in the article. It's published on the New York Times, and I think it's a great source of information for now. Yeah, we have some people say 40%, others say 40%, JP Morgan say 35%, Morgan Stanley says that we are going to have it at 30%. So we whether we are going to have a recession or not, we need just to start to read some news. We need to see what is the events that are happening now in the world. So first of all, you are all aware of the war, Ukrainian Russian war and Russian invasion of Ukraine. Before the war, we had the COVID pandemic, and this kind of similar to what happened in the recession that happens in the early 20th of the last in 1928, I think. Because before that recession we had a war, World War I, and we had during this the Spanish flu. I don't know what is it. Is it a right term for it? And this all events kinda the history is repeating itself, because now we have the pandemic, and now we have the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and too many hot spots on the world map. So let's start uh, with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. I will need to share with you the screen now with this interesting piece of content that is published also on New York Times. I'm not a very big fan of New York Times, but I see now recently they started to publish more interesting information and articles. So now we have this article, which is basically published yesterday, a couple of hours ago. Is there any end to the Ukraine war in sight? Yeah. So we have this respected editor who say that, yeah, when Russia invaded Ukraine in February, many observers expected that Russia's military would make quick work of President Vladimir Putin's mission. Yeah, this is one assumption that I don't agree with. Like, we don't know exactly if Putin was seeking a help, as he mentioned here, a quick work. Like, we don't know if that military operation led by Russia on Ukraine, that the plan was that Putin will do a fast hit and capture whatever he needs and go. We don't know that for sure, because the events of the war says something different. Uh, if Putin wanted it to be a fast war, fast hit, and just a short war type, he would get more troops, more soldiers, more equipment, more high equipment involved in the war. In the war, so that means of course, he would have to do the more to use more technology in the war, which he didn't use yet till now, and he would have like get more troops. The announced numbers that we have from 100,000 to 150,000 soldiers in the Russian military operation in Ukraine, and Russian army is more bigger than 100,000 or 150,000. So if Putin wanted to end this war fast, he would just get more troops from his army. He get he would have to use more high technology weapons, which he did not yet till this moment. So I'm not totally agreeing with the point that Putin mission was uh, he wanted to capture Kiev or to install another to prepare for another government in Kiev that will be more friendly with Russia. I don't agree that that was the intention of Putin. Putin, we don't know if he wanted it fast or he was preparing from the beginning for this long-term war, which he had to manage now. I see that successfully. He managed it successfully now, this war. And he wanted it to be a long term war. I see that it was prepared and it was his intention from the beginning that it should be a long war, not a fast one. So, guys, we need to talk about also. Let's continue with this piece. Now we have, yeah, uh, everyone in the world, Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, and many leaders in the world wanted this war to end before 2023, because that will have, if this war continues, it will have a huge impact on the world economy, and especially for these third world countries, the suffer will be very hard. They will suffer more than any other country in the modern world, in the Europe or USA or whatever. So everyone wants this war to end, but is it going to end? This is what we have to talk about. What we have in hand now is that Putin is still determined to continue with the war. He captures new villages or cities every day in the east of Ukraine. And of course, I am not supporting this war at any point. I am not with this war at all. I'm just trying to understand what's going on around me in the world. And I'm trying to read more and collect more information so I can have a better understanding of the future. And I think everyone agrees with me that it's all connected to each other. Politics and wars are very connected to the economy and entrepreneurship, of course, and digital nomadic lifestyle. Everything, everything is connected to each other. And what we have to do now is just start to understand what's going around us, what is going on around us, and to try to predict what's going to happen. Yeah. So everyone wants this war to end before 23. If someone asks me, I want this war to end yesterday, not 23. But yeah, this is what we have in hand there is the respected editor is mentioning that what are the prospects that the war will end on such a short timetable, and what path might its resolution take. Here's what people are saying. Yeah, so we have now different opinions on the path of the war and how it is going to end. We have Andrew Kramer reported that fighting in Ukraine is effectively, yeah, let me highlight that for you, effectively now divided into two threats, two theaters, the Donbass region and in the east, much of which Russia has captured, while Ukrainian forces are seeking to slow Russia's advance, and the south, where Ukrainian forces are preparing to launch a counter-offensive to recapture lost territory. Uh, yeah, you see now that it is not like it's not like very very easy process to analyze what's going on. Both sides have suffered immense casualties and resource strain. So in total, we read a lot of these articles, and what we see is that the war is mostly now focused on the east and the south of Ukraine. We have another also some other participant in this. Um, Sergei Lavrov said that Russia was determined to get rid of Ukraine's unacceptable regime, suggesting that Moscow war aims remained unchanged. So that means that all of what Russia wants is to just get rid of the regime of the Ukrainian elected democratically government led by Volodymyr Zelensky. And this aim and this goal of the Russian power of the Russian government has not changed. So, in terms of this development, yeah, it's very bad that a neighboring country invade your country to just change your government. But what we have now, hundreds, thousands, we have thousands of people who were killed and victims of the war. Uh, Thousands of soldiers from both sides have been killed, and victims, civilian victims as well. So I don't know if this even makes sense at all, but if you want to face Russia and the Russian army, which is one of the biggest and the most strongest armies in the world, maybe you should think about some political agreement with such a country, because at the end, Ukraine is now kind of destroyed. Billions of dollars in debt on Ukraine. Millions of refugees fled to Europe and USA. And this situation is very bad. Uh, but this Russian aggression will not end to this point, because the West now and the world powers are determined to just take down Putin and his power in Russia, which might lead to World War III, as I see. Because if now Putin took over Ukraine, there is nothing can stop him from continue to take over other European countries, like the fear in Poland, in Lithuania, in the Baltic countries, and of course in Germany, and all of that it's very complicated to process such a situation, because on one hand you have Putin with his strong army invading a neighboring country, Ukraine, and he already captured some of its territory. And on the second hand, we have Europe, which just want to forget. Europe wants to forget about the World War One, the World War Three, and the disastrous impact of the war. This is what Europe wants. Europe doesn't want war, and at the same time, Europe doesn't have any guarantee that this power, that Putin, will not continue to invade any other NATO North Atlantic members, or will not continue to invade any other neighboring country, like small countries like Georgia, or like even Armenia. Putin doesn't need to capture Armenia or Azerbaijan; they are allies, I think. Putin, relationship with Armenia is more stronger than with Azerbaijan, but this is the situation. So this is very complicated. And if we continue to see what is going on in Europe, let me share with you this article. Um, I have here another article which of course interesting, because which you will find interesting because it's also related to Europe and the situation in Europe. We have this article published on the Washington Post, uh, and it basically makes this connection between what is happening in Ukraine and what is happening in Europe. We have Serbia, and the Serbian government is kind of in a very strong ties to Putin, and at the same time they are both Slavic. So Serbia now wants to get to be the big Serbia, which is basically the Yugoslavia, to the heritage of the Yugoslavia, the old Yugoslavia. So we have another tension also and hotspot in Europe, in the Balkan, between Serbia and Kosovo, and maybe Kosovo at the two regions nearby Serbian borders. Kosovo has NATO peacekeeping forces. So this is what the NATO peacekeeping force said in Kosovo on Sunday. Serbian president, the overall security situation in the northern municipalities of Kosovo is tense. This is what they say. And also we have another thing with from the president of Serbia, Alexander Vucic, said, "We have never been in a more difficult situation." So, guys, it's another hotspot inside Europe, in the Balkans. And you know all about the Yugoslavia, and you know about these Balkan wars. We had a war between Serbia and Croatia from one side, and Bosnia and Herzegovina from another side. We have Albania in the Balkan, which is kind of an enemy to Serbia, and Albania supports Kosovo, and we have Croatia, which has a very strong ties to Serbia. So, and Macedonia, and it's very complicated. And this part of the world, the Balkans, all of the wars that happened in the Balkans were very devastating, and thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people have been dying in this part of the world, in this spot, because of just some silly stuff which I don't like between it's sometimes the war tends to be about religion stuff, about ethnicity, about some nationalistic stuff, which is I don't believe in in any of them. So I find it silly, and these people are dying just for some patriotic claims, nationalistic claims, ethnicity claims, religious claims between the Orthodox or the Muslims in Albania and stuff like that. So this is another hotspot in Europe. And on the other side of the world, we have another bad thing, which is happening in, yeah, let me share with you this one now. We have, of course, everyone knows about the situation between Taiwan and China. And yeah, this will change the world if something happened between the US, because basically US have what is it called, peace mutual defense treaty with Taiwan. It means that if China or Taiwan have been attacked by any other country, US should protect Taiwan. So this is the situation now. If the We have this article which was published a day ago. Taiwan says military drills show China is preparing to invade. I believe that a lot of uh, people and experts saying that China will not invade Taiwan before 27, 2027. Some people say before 2024, as this editor here and this article, which is published on the Washington Post, uh, she shared some of the experts' uh, words about this war, and they say a lot of them say that in the long term, yeah, maybe there will be a war, but currently in the short term, no, we won't have a war. But I don't agree with that. Currently, the situation that China can take advantage of what's happening in Europe and what's happening between Ukraine and Russia, and that the world is on fire. Plus, China has a big problem inside, which the Chinese government is dealing with regarding this issue with real estate stuff, and it's economical issue, and having a war can be an exit for the Chinese government locally. When they speak to their people, it can be an exit, and it happens like in many dictatorships country, that when the dictator gets the situation very bad and destroys the country internally, they might just try to seek for a war to just keep themselves in the position of ruling the country. So we have this situation now with between Taiwan and China. But is that it? Is that it? We have China, Taiwan, Serbia, Kosovo, Russia, Ukraine, and we finally have as well the thing which is going on for years now, and it's regarding the yeah, the nuclear deal between Iran and the US. This article was published like 1 hour ago, and this news. It says that we have Iran tried to kill the official ex National Security Advisor John Bolton, and this is claimed by the US. Iran rejects that. You know, Iran and the US have been working for a long time since Obama administration to get this deal, the nuclear deal, and they succeeded, and Obama signed the nuclear deal. But when Trump came in power, he's just withdraw the US from the deal, and he said no deals. Now we have Biden, who is also a Democrat, trying to achieve the same deal that Obama had with Iran. But Iran uh, requesting or demanding more conditions. First, they want Iran, and it's more very important for Iran that they want a guarantee that the next U.S. administrations will not withdraw from this deal again, as as what happened with Trump before. And basically, the U.S. government says we cannot guarantee that the U.S. administration, and there is still there is still negotiations going on now between both parties, and no one knows what could happen because if there is no nuclear deal between the US and Iran, you could expect that there will be some casualties also in the Middle East. And like 4 days ago or 3 days ago, there was an attack from Israel on Gaza Strip, and it just stayed for 56 hours and it ends. And there have been they reached a deal together, but now this could get the things got can hit the region, the Middle Eastern region again, because as you know, Iran has many like hands and power in the Middle East. We can talk about Hezbollah in Lebanon. We can talk about Islamist jihadi in Gaza. We can talk about Houthi in Yemen. All of these forces are basically Iran's hands. So if there will be no nuclear deal, you can expect that Russia and Iran stay together, remain like friends countries and allies. You can expect that Iran could get to the Chinese side of the story regarding Taiwan and regarding any other events that might happen in the world. You could expect that a lot of things could happen. You could expect an attack from Israel on Hezbollah and another war in the Middle East, another devastating war. So without this nuclear agreement, nuclear deal, you can expect that it's getting very bad in the Middle East, of course. So all of these events that are happening in the world, finally, let's talk about that. With all of these events that is happening in the world, what do you think? Do you think that we can have peace in 2023 and people can live together without wars, without problems? Or do you think there might be a chance for more wars and maybe like World War III? I don't know. I just try to share with you my opinions. I heard before in another video that maybe the only solution for this Russian invasion ends. The only solution that will make this war end, that you get that God, nature, or whoever you believe in, just remember Putin. Take Putin down. And with no Putin in Russia, I think it will be hard for Russia to continue on a war. Yeah. So I think this is maybe the only possibility that this war will end. And yeah, guys, I'm very happy to share with you this contents and these articles and my opinions. I would be interesting to know more about your opinions in the comments of this video, and see you next week on the same day.